Fade in. Exterior, Moatani Marquesas. Night. The ocean waves beat furiously against the steep rocks. The white foam glows in the moonlight. From the top of the rocks, a furry four-fingered hand appears, grasps the rock, pulls a peculiar body up. The leader of the Menehune, all of 12 inches tall, turns and faces the land, proud, resolute, his flat face cast in determination. He bolds his tiny fist, rests them on his round hip, stares out at the crowd of hundreds of furry Menehune gathered in a clearing, their faces illumined by small campfires. He speaks in a gibberish language, subtitled, and though his voice is a squeak, it carries across the still night air. Leader, Menehune! The crowd roars with excitement and chorus. Leader, if we ever hope to get off this stinking rock, we must attract those that can sail the waters. The crowd not so happy with this announcement. They murmur, Leader, we must cross-breed to expand our traits and abilities. This brings a great response. The Menehune scream and dance in a riot of excitement. Leader, let the ritual of attraction begin. The Menehune form into large circles, chant and dance. Interior, Hollywood producer's office, reception area, day. A well-dressed professional receptionist, 30s, types on a computer at a neatly arranged glass-top desk. The walls are covered with pictures of famous actors and scenes from top-grossing movies. Cobber Ribald, 26, shaggy shoulder-length blonde hair loosely tied in a ponytail, sits in a chair, bounces one knee in a frenzy of nerves. On the table beside him, a document and a glass of water. He holds an upside-down magazine, stares at the receptionist. A buzzer on the desk breaks the silence. Cobber freezes. The receptionist punches a button on her digital intercom. She looks at Cobber, offers a perfunctory smile. Receptionist, Mr. Stevens will see you now. Cobber jumps from the chair, drops the magazine on the floor. He bends to pick it up. His ass knocks the water glass over. It spills across this presentation. Cobber, oh, shit. Cobber drops the magazine, spins to the table, grabs the soaking manuscript. He shakes it off, rubs it across his shirt. He grabs the magazine, tries to blot up the spilled water. Cobber looks sheepishly at the receptionist. Cobber, sorry. The receptionist nods at the door, offers a knowing smile. Receptionist, good luck. Interior, Stevens' office. Day. D.M. Stevens, 40s, is a big man that overflows. The leather chair he sits in. The wet document lies on the floor beside the large oak desk as he studies Cobber. Behind Stevens, the glass wall shows the hustle and bustle of Los Angeles. Stevens, no doubt you worked hard to get in here and waste my time, Cobbler. Cobber, sir. Cobber, Ribald. Stevens, this is a rip-off. We're looking for something fresh and original, Cobber. No, sir. It's totally different. We plan on Stevens. The answer is no. Stevens grabs the wet presentation by the corner and stands, offering it to Cobber as if it was a skunk. Cobber, dejected, takes it and leaves. Stevens presses a button on his phone. Stevens, Betty, see if the canteen has any cobbler. I'm starving. Interior, Cobber's house, night. Messy bachelor bed, large screen TV, broken down couch, bare walls used as a corkboard, old notes and papers. A dartboard on the wall behind the couch, a dozen darts poked in and around it. Rock music plays, softcore porn muted on the television. Two identical dogs beside the couch, Mortis and Mortis, sitting on the sofa. Alan, 25, tan, short, dark hair, points a video camera at the floor. No, points a video camera at the door as Cobber enters. Cobber looks at the camera. Alan stops recording, tosses it on the couch. Alan, say no more. Cobber, did I say something? Alan, you said it all, dude. Cobber drops his manuscript on the table and plops on the sofa. Mortis hurries into the kitchen. Alan picks up 3 darts, throws one behind him without looking. He throws another. Mortis barks. Alan, get him! Mortis disappears behind the couch. Alan throws the other dart. Mortis, off-screen, yelps. Alan, sorry, boy, my bad. Mortis returns with a can of beer, the other with 2 darts in his mouth and one hanging from the fur behind his neck. Alan snacks the darts. Cobber gets the beer. Alan to Mortis. Tain't but a flesh wound. Mortis barks. Alan to Mortis. Fine, get a snack. One Mortis leaves, the other cocks his head. Cobber to Mortis. Yeah, go ahead. The other Mortis bounds away. Alan, you ready to accept the easy life? Cobber, quitting's for losers. Alan, look around. Cobber, I'm gonna make this happen. Cobber downs the beer, tries to crush the empty can between his hands. His arms shake. He drops it on the table. Alan, dude, you're enslaved by dreams. Cobber, wrong, my dream-deficient roomie. You have to go after what you want, Alan. Au contraire, wait for them to get close and just snag it. Try again. Au contraire, wait for them to get close and just snag it. Cobber, you may be the smartest moron I know. Thumbs up from Alan. Alan, you want to call Nancy? Alan, you might want to call Nancy. Cobber glances with a question. Alan, I know how you feel, but rents do. Cobber reaches for the phone on the table. Cobber, when you gonna find a girl? Alan, there ain't a girl out there with enough attitude for me. Cobber, what about that redhead that ran over you? Alan, Carol? She wasn't mean, just mad. Interior, fancy restaurant, night. Cobber, cleaned up nicely, sits across the table from Nancy Baxter, 25, dark hair, surgically perfected body, a vision of upper-crust old wealth snobbishness. Nancy, why don't you just ask Daddy to finance it? Cobber chokes on a piece of steak. He gags, turns blue, tries to cough it up without anyone noticing. Nancy, there's no reason to make a scene. Cobber slumps, about to lose consciousness. A waiter appears behind him and performs the Heimlich. A piece of meat flies from Cobber's mouth, strikes Nancy's wine glass. Nancy, God, Cobber, don't be so dramatic. Why do... God, Cobber, don't be so dramatic. What have you got against him, anyway? Cobber stares at Nancy, regains his breath. Nancy glances at the waiter, points at her glass with the steak smudge. The waiter takes her glass and moves on. Cobber, your father likes to control everything. Nancy, that might be best. Cobber, I'm not trying to sell feminine hygiene products. Nancy, business is business, and Daddy is looking to expand Baxter Enterprises. Cobber, I want to control my own destiny. Nancy, that's cute, but you can't even pay your own rent. Cobber, I'll find a way. It's just a matter of getting it in front of the right people. I'll find a way. It's just a matter of getting it in front of the right person. Nancy, you could always sell your secret. That's worth a fortune. Cobber, thoughtfully, you really think your dad would fund it? Nancy, your secret? Cobber, exasperated. The show! Nancy, oh, I don't know. If he thinks it will make him more money, well. External car wash day. Alan and Cobber, bright orange overalls with Mr. Shiny stenciled on the back, wipe down a black Jaguar. The driver hands Cobber a $5 bill and drives off. Cobber stuffs the bill in his pocket as a red Corvette driven by Brad, 29, cocky and boorish, rolls out of the car wash and stops. Cobber starts trying the grill as Alan starts in the back. Beep! The horn blares. Cobber jumps. Brad laughs. Brad, oh, sorry. Cobber, funny shit. Brad, what's funny is someone your age drying cars. Does Nancy keep you around as a jester? Cobber ignores his comment and dries the windshield's water spurts into his face from the windshield water. Brad, oh, sorry, thought that was the radio. Cobber, you're a laugh a minute. Brad sticks a $20 bill in Cobber's pocket. Brad, make a movie on me. Brad laughs and drives off. On the back of the car, written in mud, I'm a fucking loser. Alan and Cobber high five as Monty, 50s, fat and bald, approaches them from the office. Monty, I forgot to tell you guys, I gotta lay you off. Alan and Cobber are stunned. Alan, when? Monty, last week. But you can keep your tips. Cobber, last week, so we've been busting our asses for free? Monty, sorry, but with this new sucking machine and the heat lamp, there's not much to dry. Besides, with the air quality so good lately, there's just not enough dirt to go around. Monty shrugs and walks back to the office. Alan, fuck him. I'm not turning in my uniform. Cobber, way to stick it to him. Series of shots. Cobber seeks financing. Cobber steps from Acme TV offices, turns and gives the finger to the closed door. Cobber stands before a half-dozen laughing executives in an office. He leaves dejected. Cobber is pushed from an office. The door slams behind him, then opens. His manuscript flies out. The door slams. Exterior, Baxter office building. Day. Cobber stands on the front steps of a glass building. On the glass above the door, Baxter Enterprises. Discover your beauty. He wrestles with his demons, alternately starting in, leaving, stopping again. Finally, head down, he enters. Interior, Baxter's office building. Day. Bruce Baxter, 65, thinning hair in a swoop, sharply dressed, strides down the hall between cubicles, Brad at his side. Cobber hurries along several steps behind them. Bruce speaks in quick whispers to Brad as they hurry along. Bruce, 5 weeks before the auditor arrives. Find a black hole by then or we'll both be wearing orange jumpsuits. Brad, I'm on it, sir. Bruce, you sure none of our accountants are onto it? Brad, positive. Only the CEO and I can access that file. And, of course, you are the CEO. Bruce, I know who I am. Get on it. Brad nods nervously and veers in another direction. Cobber hurries up behind Bruce. Bruce, what do you know about feminine products besides how my daughter smells? Cobber, honestly, sir, not a lot. Bruce, what about rubbers? Cobber, rubbers? Bruce, salami wrappers, prophylactics, chicken chokers, whatever your generation is calling them. Cobber, I know how to use them. Bruce, not ours, I hope. Cobber, no, sir, I actually use... Bruce, good. I'd hate to think your seed was fertilizing my family tree. Bruce scrambles up 4 wide steps, stops at the door of an immense glass wall overlooking the cubicles. Cobber bounces off of him, stumbles into a passing secretary, and knocks a pile of files from her hands. Cobber stoops to pick up files. Bruce walks into the office. Cobber, I'm really sorry. Bruce, off screen. Cobber! Bruce off screen. Cobber, I haven't got all day. Cobber offers the secretary a grimace. Cobber, really? Sorry. Cobber walks into Bruce's office. Bruce is behind his huge desk. The room is a mess. Papers, charts, and files cover the desk and tables. Sales and marketing charts hang on every wall. Cobber stands nervously in front of the desk. Bruce, I don't like you, Cobber. Cobber, sir. Bruce, like a corn sucker? Cobber, yes, sir. Bruce, whatever. I don't know what my daughter sees in you, and I don't want to know. Probably something disgusting. Cobber, sir, Bruce, doesn't matter. She's my daughter, and as soon as she thinks that fucking you doesn't piss me off, she'll move on to someone of her own class. Cobber, I don't want to, Bruce, so I'll give you a job, Cornchuck, because that may hasten things. Cobber, sir, I really came to ask about Bruce. Whatever. Report to personnel tomorrow. Internal, Cobber's house, night. Survivor plays on the TV as Cobber and Alan eat fast food on the couch. Mortis and Mortis ball wrestle on the floor. Mortis wins. Mortis loses. Alan, dude, you got a steady gig. A hot, rich girl. Why rock the boat? Cobber, I didn't move out here to count how many tampons go in a box. Alan, be grateful you don't do the leak test. Mortis barks. Cobber, no cheating, Mortis. Cobber and Alan stare at the TV as the votes are counted. Alan, maybe the dude was right, man. It's a rip-off. Cobber, about to take a drink, waves his arms in a frenzy, soda flying everywhere. Cobber, holy fuck, how is that the same, dude? Alan, well, let's see. Strand people in a deserted area and give $1 million to whoever lasts longest. Sound familiar? Cobber, fuck, man. That's just concept. Everybody borrows concept. My idea is real, not this bogus let's vote shit. I'm talking true survival, toughness, resourcefulness, living off the land, making it, not a bunch of silly contests. Alan, whoa, chill, dude. I'm just saying. They watched the show, cooling down a little. Alan, you picked a place? Cobber, Marquesas Islands. Alan, didn't Survivor do a show in the Cobber agitated? Different island, okay? Alan puts his hands up in surrender. Alan, so what if someone dies? Cobber, covered in the release form. Alan, what if a couple of hardcore fuckers never drop out? How you gonna end it? Cobber's agitation turns to a mysterious smile. Cobber, it's all planned out. Part of the dream. Alan eats a french fry, looks at the container. Alan, I'm gonna snag my dream, too. Exterior, McRodge King drive-thru. Day. A convertible with 2 young men and 2 young women sits at the order stop, a big clown nose with a speaker built in. Alan O.S. Welcome to McRodge King. How can I stuff your face today? Driver, 4 number 3s, accept a chocolate shake with 1 instead of the soda. Alan, you want to bigify that, my man? Driver, no, thank you. Alan O.S., you want fries with that? Driver, don't fries already come with the number 3? Alan O.S., 3 fries, got it. Driver, no, 4 fries with the number 3s. Alan O.S., I'm sorry, so that's 12 fries then? Driver, no fries, just 4 number 3 combos and 1 with a chocolate shake. Alan O.S., okay, so no fries with those combos? The car rolls up to the pickup window, where Alan leans out, smiling. Alan, that will be $16.80. The driver hands a 20 to Alan, who makes change. Driver, that sounds high, Alan. They started taxing cow gas. Driver, that's 4 number 3s, right? Alan, yep, and 4 fries. Driver, I didn't want the extra fries, Alan. Oops, my bad. Alan pulls 4 bags of fries out of the bag and starts eating them. He hands the driver the change, the drinks, and the bag. The driver counts the change. Driver, dude, you still charge me for the extra fries. Alan, sorry, but you have to pay for what you ordered. Driver, but I didn't order them. Alan, yeah, so I took them out of the bag. Driver, but you still charge me, Alan. They're on the receipt. Interior, Cobber's house. Night. Alan sits on the couch eating from an enormous pile of french fries on the table. Mortis and Mortis watch every fry go from the table to Alan's mouth. Cobber enters, looking dejected. Alan, bad day? Cobber, they put me in the return department. Some people are truly disgusting. Alan, well, cheer up, my man. I brought dinner. Cobber walks to the couch and plops down. He grabs a fry, sticks it in his mouth, and spits it out. Mortis catches it before it hits the ground. Stone cold. Alan scoops up the fries and heads for the kitchen. Alan, that's why God invented microwaves. You gotta fire 'em up every 15 minutes. Cobber grabs the remote and flips through channels. Alan off screen. Oh, Nancy called, like a zillion times. Cobber, what did she want? Alan O.S. Didn't say. Beep. The microwave sounds. Alan returns to the room, juggling hot fries. Some fall on the floor before he dumps the pile on the table and sits. Mortis goes for a fallen fry. Alan, Mortis freezes. Alan, you want hot fries? Learn to use the microwave. Mortis lies down, his eyes on the fry. Alan, she said your cell phone wasn't working. Cobber, they cut me off a week ago. Alan, I saw you take it this morning, Cobber. I'm faking a life. The phone rings. Alan picks it up. Alan into phone. Hot Guys Emporium. Oh, hi, Nancy. He just walked in. Alan tosses the phone to Cobber. He drops his fries to catch it, scowls at Alan. Cobber into phone. Hello? Alan flips channels. Alan, they cut off the porn channel to encourage our payment. Cobber waves at Alan to shut up. Cobber, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Of course I will. Cobber hangs up the phone, stares blankly at Alan. Cobber, Baxter died. Alan, who? Cobber, Nancy's father. He was crushed under tampons at the loading dock. Alan, dude, don't those weigh like 6 ounces? Cobber, they were in a truck. Internal. Baxter home. Bedroom. Night. A lavish woman's bedroom. Brad lies on the bed in boxers. Nancy enters from the bathroom wearing a silk negligee and angry. Nancy, how could he have done this to me? What the hell was he thinking? Brad, he wanted to be sure there were always cash reserves. Nancy, I don't mean the stealing, idiot. I mean not telling me where the damn money is. Brad, don't worry, you'll find it. Besides, I have a plan to get a lot more and cover the tracks at the same time. Nancy smiles, crawls into bed beside him. Nancy, do you? Nah, Brad, it means losing your simple-minded friend. Nancy, Cobber? Brad grimaces at the mention of the name. Nancy continued, you better learn his secret first. External, graveyard, day. Mourners surround an open grave with a casket being lowered. The minister drops some dirt in, wipes his hand on his pant leg. He sniffs his hand and grimaces. Several mourners check their watches. One talks quietly on a cell phone. Cobber stands somberly by Nancy. She looks across the grave at Brad. He winks. Nancy turns and walks away. Cobber follows, takes her elbow. Cobber, I think the preacher was going to say something. Nancy, he gave me the rundown earlier. Cobber, still, I think we're supposed to stay until... Nancy turns to him forcefully. Nancy, he would want me to carry on, Cobber, not spend my time crying over what I can't change. I have a business empire to run. Cobber, you? Nancy, us, Cobber. I want you to take charge of operations. Cobber, I'm not a businessman. I want to produce a TV series. Nancy, you're a tampon inspector, previously an unemployed car wash attendant. Nancy strides to the car. Cobber catches up. Cobber, geez, Nancy, if you didn't believe in me, why did you go out with me in the first place? Nancy stops at the car door. Nancy, I was drunk, remember? And that thing you do with your tongue sealed the deal. Cobber is stunned. Nancy puts a hand on his shoulder, suddenly seeming compassionate. Nancy continued, besides, I like you. You're fun. She glances at the car door and waits. Cobber reaches out and opens the door in a stupor. Nancy slides in the back seat and looks at him with pity. Nancy, listen, Cobber, it was one thing to hang with you when it pissed off my father. I need more now. I need you to step up. Internal, McRajwap King, day. Alan, paper hat pulled down toward one eye, stands behind the counter and hands change to an old woman. She takes her small bag and moves away. Alan, step up, please. A dejected and forlorn Cobber steps up to the counter. Alan, what will it be, Mr. Depression? Cobber looks up and notices it's Alan. Cobber, thought you worked the window. Alan, be reassigned. Something about fry control. Cobber looks up at the menu board. Cobber, let me get Alan. I'm on it. Alan fills a tray with sodas, apple pie, fries, and several large burgers. He rings up a soda. Alan, 89 cents. Cobber, dude. Alan, no problem. I'll pay it on the tally sheet. Alan jumps on the counter and slides across. He addresses the long line behind Cobber. Alan, sorry, lunch break. Other line, please. The worker at the next register just stares at Alan. Worker, you can't take a lunch break during lunch. It's against the rules, Alan. Do you realize how stupid that sounds? Isn't lunch break always during lunch? Alan grabs the tray and shuffles to a table in the corner. Cobber follows. Sets. Alan takes a huge bite from a burger, spatters crumbs as he speaks. Alan, so what's with the long face, Mr. Executive? Cobber, I have a problem giving up my dreams, okay? Alan, you want to make a TV series, right? Cobber nods, nibbles on a French fry. Alan holds his hands up, burger in one, French fry in the other. He balances them like a scale. Alan, okay, so minimum wage clerk or high-powered business manager. What's likely to get you there faster? Cobber, yeah, I get it, but I'm starting to think maybe Nancy doesn't exactly love me. Alan, do you love her? Cobber considers. Cobber, no, but I like her. I don't want to use her. Alan, but you don't care if she uses you. Is that it? Listen, Cobb, everyone uses everyone. The world sucks if you don't love each other. What's the big deal? Give her what she wants and get what you need. No muss, no fuss. Cobber, no wonder you can't find a girl. Exterior, Moatani Marquesas. Night. The leader stands upon the rock, gazes to sea. A Menehune stands at his side. They are silhouetted against a bright moon. The Menehune looks to the leader. Menehune, you said if we sang it, they would come. The leader puts his hand on the Menehune's shoulder. Leader, they are a bit slow, aren't they? Interior, Nancy's office. Day. Baxter's old office is revamped, bright and sunny. The desk is clear, the chart's gone, the plants take up half the room. Nancy sits at the desk and lets an employee paint her nails. Brad sits across from her. He glances at Nancy, nods towards the employee. Nancy, she's deaf. The employee looks at Brad and smiles. Nancy continued, so I put him in charge and let him run his stupid show while the company falls apart? Brad, we divert a few million more while he takes the fall, then buy up more stock when it tanks. Nancy, and rescue the company. Brad, it's perfect, Nancy, except for his secret. You need to learn it before he goes down. Brad scowls. Nancy smiles. Nancy continued, I made a funny. Brad, the tongue thing? That's what this is all about? Nancy gets a misty look in her eyes. Nancy, I have everything money can buy, and one thing it can't. Nancy comes back to reality, looks at Brad with steely eyes. Nancy, learn it. The intercom on the desk beeps. Secretary, off screen. Mr. Rybald to see you. Nancy pushes a button as she waves Brad out. Nancy, send him in. Brad passes Cobber on the way out, sticks out his tongue. Cobber, not even close, dude. Cobber takes the seat across from Nancy. The employee eyes him mysteriously and smiles. Cobber, you wanted to see me? Nancy, I've decided to sweeten the pot. Cobber, Nancy, I know nothing about running a business. Nancy waves a freshly painted nail at the employee. Nancy, too red. I want subtle. The employee removes the polish. Nancy looks at Cobber. Nancy, you want to run a TV production. I have 3 weeks before the board meets to select a new CEO. You take the job in the meantime, and you can do your project. Cobber, I can't finish it in 3 weeks. Nancy, won't matter if the company is already committed, will it? Cobber considers. The employee looks at him, runs her tongue around her lips. Cobber does a double take and looks back to Nancy. Cobber, if I was a successful television producer, would that be good enough for you? Nancy ponders the question in the new color the employee is putting on her fingernail. Nancy, but you're not. Cobber, but if I was. Nancy, would that get me invited to those red carpet premieres? Cobber, it could. Nancy, then I guess so, but you're not. Cobber, I know, quit saying that. Nancy, you just need to tie your show into the company business. Cobber, how am I supposed to do that? Nancy, product placement. Cobber, might be hard to tie in perfume and feminine products to survival. Nancy, God, Cobber, is this your dream or isn't it? Cobber squirms in the chair, thinking. Cobber, I'll be able to hire people, run the show the way I want. Nancy, until there's a new CEO, you have free reign. Cobber takes a deep breath, makes his decision. Cobber, I'll do it. Nancy, wonderful. I knew I could count on you. Cobber gets up to leave. He is almost at the door when Nancy interrupts. Nancy, that trick, can it be taught? The employee glances at Cobber. He blushes. Cobber, I think it's a gift. Cobber leaves. Nancy's eyes stare into dreamy space. Nancy, yes, it is. Interior, Cobber's house. Night. Cobber and Alan sit on the floor across the table from one another and play ping-pong. A stack of trash in the middle of the table serves as the net. A half-full plastic cup of beer sits on the table in front of each of them. Mortis and Mortis lie on the floor and watch. Cobber, it's not forever. It's just to get us the chance. Alan, I hate business. Cobber, you got a fucking degree in business management. Mortis barks. Cobber to Mortis, sorry. Alan, school kept me from working, okay? Cobber, what keeps you from working now? Alan, fired for eating at lunchtime. What a crock of shit. Other Mortis barks. Alan continued to dogs. Shit's okay. Both Mortises bark. Alan continued. Whatever. Mortis looks at Cobber. Cobber shrugs. Alan continued. I could have made that place a contender. Cobber gets a good shot that falls into Alan's beer. Alan downs the beer, pops the ping-pong ball from his mouth. Cobber, you can't spend your whole life just goofing on people. Alan, I could if I died tomorrow. Alan smacks the ball hard. It bounces high off the table and soars over Cobber's head. Mortis goes after it. Cobber, that's out. Alan, there's no out. It crossed the table. Mortis drops the ball on the table. Cobber, you want to host the show, right? Alan, that might be cool. Cobber, then take the advice you gave me. Run the business side of things while we get the show launched. Alan, would I have to wear a suit? Cobber, you can come in your underwear for all I care. Alan, whoa, gross, dude. Oh, wait, never mind. The game continues. Mortis and Mortis follow the ball back and forth. Cobber, there's a ton of hot secretaries there. Cobber smashes a shot that sails over Alan's head. Cobber continued. Mean ones, too. Alan, fine, I'll do it, but only until your show is done. Internal, Baxter boardroom, day. Cobber sits at one end of a large conference table and plays with a Game Boy using earbuds. The table is surrounded by executives. Alan, dressed like a professional from the waist up, stands at the other end of the table and taps the sales chart with a pointer. Alan, we're spending 60% of the marketing budget on tampons. What's wrong with that picture, gentlemen? Alan paces in front of the table. The executives all look around at each other. Alan, I'll tell you what's wrong. We own 70% of the tampon market, people, and those women aren't going to stop menstruating if we cut back our ads. Executive number one. But won't they start using something else if we stop advertising? Alan, like what? The little Dutch boy? Executive number one. I meant like a competitor product, Alan. Women don't forget what they like between their legs. The executives mumble and nod at one another. Alan, I want half the tampon dollars put into the makeup and perfume lines and get the commercials into prime time. Soap opera housewives aren't plunking down $80 for a bottle of sweet-smelling water. Alan nods at Cobber, who takes the earplugs out, jumps up and claps his hands. Cobber, that's all, folks. Get her done. Make it so. Do your thing. The executives stand to stare at Cobber as they leave. Cobber, what? They're cliché for a reason, you know. The room empties except for Cobber and Alan. Alan walks around the table. He wears only boxers from the waist down. Cobber, awesome job. Alan, I gotta admit, starting at the top rocks. Series of shots, rocking the sales. Alan pores over business reports. Cobber studies a map of Moatani. At the top, he crosses out Survivor 2. Nancy in bed, not pleased. Brad pops his head from under the covers. She shakes her head and frowns. Cobber crosses out true survivor from the top of the map. Boardroom executives surround the table. Alan pounds his pointer like a Nazi. It breaks, and a piece hits an executive in the head. He falls from his chair. Cobber crosses out the real survivor. Alan sits at a computer terminal and hits the button to transfer funds to a secret account. Cobber crosses out incredible survivor. Boardroom. At the head of the table, Alan points at a chart that shows sales going through the roof. All the executives sit at the far end of the table. Nancy, in bed, moans, "Oh, Cobber." Office. Cobber turns away from Nancy's desk and leaves, a huge grin on his face. Interior. Cobber's house. Day. Alan sits on the sofa, a plate of spaghetti on the table. A piece of spaghetti goes from his mouth to Mortis's. Cobber enters, does a double take, shakes his head, and breaks into a huge grin. Cobber, "The dream begins. We have 30 days to make it and sell it for the new season." Alan turns his head slightly toward Cobber. The noodle breaks and Mortis gobbles it up. Alan to Mortis, "Cheater." Alan continued to Cobber, "That's not much time." Cobber, "We stack the cast with losers and accelerate my secret plan a bit. We can have a survivor in 2 weeks. Alan, yes, the secret plan. Don't you think it's about time you filled me in? Cobber, Menehune. You ever heard of them? Alan stares blankly. Cobber continuing. The little people, mostly associated with Hawaii, but they came from this little island called Moatani. Great builders, magical little people that like their privacy. Alan, little magic people. Who's going to believe that? Cobber smiles mysteriously. Cobber, anybody that sees the evidence, of course. Alan, I see. No, wait, I don't see. Cobber, you will? Interview. No, that's not right. Interior, interview room. Day. A small table and 4 chairs sits in an otherwise empty room. The walls are covered with posters and pictures of the Marquesas Islands. A large print of Moatani dominates one wall. Large type across the top, crossed out with red X's, reads, "Survivor 2, True Survivor, The Real Survivor, Incredible Survivor." Beneath that, in large black letters, "Badass. The toughest will survive. The rest hope to stay alive." Cobber and Alan sit at a table to interview Courtney, an adorable brunette girl next door type in cut-off jeans and a T-shirt. Courtney, "So, this is an island, right? How will we get on it?" Alan, "We'll travel by boat." Courtney, "On the water?" Cobber and Alan exchange glances. Later, Jeff, 20, black, flamboyantly gay, sits on a chair with his legs crossed. Cobber, "You are allowed a total of 35 pounds of personal property." Jeff, and that's supposed to include all my clothes. Later, Racine, 28, black with attitude, has 3 chickens on a leash. One pecks at Alan's leg, makes him nervous. Racine eyes Alan curiously. Cobber, "Religious practice or not, they look like food and count against your total weight allowance." Racine to Alan, "You scared of chickens?" Alan, "No." One of the chickens pecks at him. He jerks his leg back. Alan, "Maybe. A little bit." Racine, "What about black women?" Later, Brie, 24, hot blonde, light see-through blouse and overall. She and Cobber have eye contact. Alan stares at her breast. Cobber, "Yes, you can certainly go nude if you wish." Alan, "Certainly." Cobber, "Absolutely." Alan, "Definitely." Later, at Atsuko, that's it. Atsuko, 30, small Japanese man dressed like a tourist, camera strapped around his neck. Cobber, "We provide each contestant with a pup tent, feminine products, and a scented candle. That's it." The man smiles broadly, raises the camera. Flash. Later, Gary, 40's very fat, breathes heavily. Alan, "You realize you have to sign a release form?" Gary nods, too out of breath to speak. Cobber and Alan exchange glances. Cobber, "And we take no responsibility for your health or safety." Later, Dolores, 30s, plainly dressed, vacant expression, sits and stares straight ahead. Alan and Cobber sit patiently, waiting. They glance at each other, then back at Dolores. Alan, "Any questions?" No reaction, just a blank stare. Cobber, "Anything at all." Later, Jasper, 24, dark hair and athletic body, dressed in black, guns and ammo belts crisscross his chest. Cobber, apologetically, "A knife, maybe, but guns are strictly prohibited." Jasper reaches under his shirt, extracts a long, thin-bladed knife. He thrusts it up in front of him. Alan and Cobber push back their chairs and raise their hands. Later, Cobber and Alan are practically asleep in their chairs, eyes glazed over, mouths hanging half open. They stare at Teresa, a small, bookish young woman in her early 20s. Teresa, "I believe that even in a situation of great peril, or perhaps even more so in such circumstance, brains will ultimately prevail over brawn. Intelligence is really the predominant trait that allows for..." Interior, Nancy's office, day. Nancy and Cobber sit at a small table and eat Chinese food. Cobber uses a fork while Nancy uses chopsticks clumsily. Behind Nancy, the employee that did her nails, now dressed as a maid and holding a small cloth and an empty plate. Nancy, I'm sorry, 10 is all we can afford. It's a take it or leave it deal. Cobber, that wasn't the plan. Nancy slops a little food on the table. The employee quickly wipes it onto her plate and steps back. Nancy, you said $4 million. 16 doesn't fit the budget with me going along. I'm not sweating my ass off on some beach without accommodations. Cobber, you're going? Nancy, of course. I can't live without you for 2 months. Nancy gets a large ball of rice halfway to her mouth before the chopsticks cross, and rice flies everywhere. She is oblivious and puts the empty chopsticks to her mouth. Cobber, I'm not sure it works with only 10 contestants. Nancy, you can always postpone it until next season. The employee stealthily picks rice from Nancy's blouse and hair. Cobber, no, I'll make it work. Nancy, oh, and Brad is going too, as one of the contestants. A single piece of rice rests on Nancy's chin. The employee stalks it, waits for the chance to snatch it off. Cobber, what? He didn't even apply. Nancy, I promised him. He's been very loyal to the family, and Daddy would have wanted it. Nancy traps a large piece of saucy pork between the chopsticks. The employee's eyes grow wide. Cobber, that's fucking great. Nancy holds the meat halfway to her mouth as she talks. The employee tries to inconspicuously hold a plate beneath it. Nancy, I know. It will be such fun. Interior Cobber's house, day. Packed bags sit near the door. Cobber sits on the back of the couch talking to Mortis, who listens intently. Cobber, we shouldn't be away more than 2 months, tops. I put a 3-month supply of food in the bin just in case. Go easy on the snacks, no fighting, and make sure to turn different lights on and off at night, right? Mortis barks. Cobber, good boy. No television after 11 and no porn. It makes the mailman nervous. I guess that's about it. Woof, woof. Cobber, no, you're not the big boss. You and Mortis are equal. Growl. Woof. Cobber, he does. He has to handle the bills and take turns changing the water bowl. Exterior, harbor, day. A busy port of call with 2 main piers. Along one, the yacht, Nancy's Pleasure, is moored. Technically a ship at a length of 110 feet. It boasts 2 separate gangplanks, one grandly roped with little life preserver bows. Bows? I don't know. The other is a wide and sturdy plank for heavy deliveries, and 2 men struggle valiantly to move a satellite dish on a dolly to the ship. Nancy, dressed in a sexy sailor suit, stands on deck and greets arriving contestants as they board. On the dock side of the gangplank, Alan paces while he speaks on his cell phone. In the background, the satellite dish rolls back down the gangplank, 2 men chasing it. Alan, into phone. I'll be uploading videos and pics via satellite every day. I want them plugged into the campaign template and pushed into commercials before I get back. Put half the perfume ad budget behind the new Jungle Woman scent. Beat. Alan continued. Oh, and Ethan, there's a folder on the root of the financials labeled SOF. I'm giving you access to it. Find out what those files are for. Along the pier, Cobber strolls toward the ship. Behind him, Gary, wearing a brightly colored moo-moo and carrying a large plastic container, struggles to catch up. Gary, Mr. Rybold, Mr. Rybold. Cobber stops. Gary reaches him, plops the container on the dock, and bends over. Takes several deep breaths. Cobber, hi. Gary, right? Gary, right. My container is 36 pounds. Is that going to be okay? Cobber, no, I'm sorry, but 35 is the max. Gary, is there a weight limit on me? Cobber, no. Gary pulls the top off the container, takes out a 1-pound sausage roll. Gary, I'll just eat this now then. Cobber continues toward the boarding area. From the water, at the front of the ship, Jasper surfaces, dressed in scuba gear minus air tanks. He climbs up a ladder to the pier and makes his way to the boarding ramp. At the top, he pulls an invitation from one of many pockets and hands it to Nancy. She studies it. Nancy, welcome aboard, Jasper. Do you have a bag? Jasper, I'm wearing everything I need. He winks, disappears into the ship. Nancy's eyes follow him appreciatively. Nancy turns back toward the gangplank and is startled. Inches in front of her face, an invitation is extended by Dolores, a blank, expressionless look on her face. Nancy carefully takes the invitation. Nancy, thank you. Nancy looks over the invitation and looks back up as she begins to speak. Nancy, welcome aboard. Dolores is nowhere to be seen. Instead, Jeff minces his way up the plank and drops his brightly covered duffel bag beside Nancy. He looks 20 pounds heavier, since he wears 6 different outfits over each other. He eyes Nancy. Jeff, oh my God, what a yummy outfit. Back along the pier, Brie slowly strolls toward the ship in apparent awe of the hustle and bustle. She wears a backpack over a light breezy blouse, short skirt, and knee-high boots. Every man on the pier watches her as Courtney, 24, raven hair, girl next door looks, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt and pulling a suitcase on wheels, catches up to Brie. Courtney, hi, are you going on the survival trip? Brie flashes a bright smile and sticks out her hand. Brie, yes, I'm so excited. Courtney, I know. I've never been on a boat before. Well, not one in the water. Brie, awesome. Someone I can relate to. I'm Brie. Courtney takes her hand and shakes it with a smile. Courtney, I'm Courtney. I don't think we're related, but glad to meet you. God, I had such a hard time deciding what to bring. Brie, so did I. What did you end up with? Courtney, pork and beans. Beat. Brie, do you dye your hair? Back at the gangplank, Racine passes Alan. Racine, token black woman is here. You seen my chickens? Alan glances around, smiles at her. She winks, continues up the gangway, drops her bag, and goes to her small purse for her invitation. A young cabin boy picks up her bag. Racine, what the hell are you doing? You think carrying my bag is going to erase 100 years of slavery? The cabin boy drops the bag, shakes his head vigorously. Racine, maybe you think because I'm a woman I can't carry my own things? Are you thinking you can score a little brown sugar? Nancy, watching, chimes in. Nancy, or perhaps it's because we pay him to take the contestants' bags, weigh them, and deliver them to the proper room. Racine gives the cabin boy an evil eye, gestures to her bag. Racine, what are you waiting for? A tip? The boy grabs the bag and scurries off. Racine turns to Nancy, extends the invitation and smiles. Racine, I'm Racine. On the pier, Cobber stares at the ship, worried as he approaches Alan. Alan flips his cell shut and pockets it. Alan, the dream begins and you look like you're in a nightmare. Cobber, if I don't sell this, I'll never work in this town. Alan, lighten up. You never worked in this town before. This is what you wanted. Cobber, that's what scares me. You know what happens when my dreams come true. Remember when we were kids? All I wanted was a guitar. Gary lumbers past the gangway. Gary lumbers past up the gangway, breathing like he's about to die any second. Alan, you were going to be the next Jimi Hendrix. Cobber, except I didn't get one. Alan, I did, and I gave it to you. Cobber, in return for every toy I had. Alan, but I did give it to you. Cobber, exactly, and I sucked. I feel like I'm reliving it all. You got me the chance to do this. What if I suck? Alan, you never looked at the bright side. Cobber, which was? I got all your cool toys. Brie and Courtney reach the bottom of the gangplank. Cobber and Brie exchange appreciative glances. Alan, hello, ladies, and welcome to my fantasy. Courtney, your fantasy? Alan, I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? The girls smile and walk up the plank. Exterior, ocean, day. The sun is going down in the west, and Nancy's pleasure is silhouetted against it as it steams along. The fading sun reflected from the white tops formed in its wake. Interior, ship's dining hall, night. A large table that would be perfectly in place in a formal dining area commands the center of the room. It is set for 7, and a smorgasbord of food sits steaming on it. 8 chairs are carefully placed around the table, 2 of them pushed together. Cobber and Alan stand beside the door and greet the incoming guest. Everyone but Dolores passes by them. Brad wears a real tuxedo. Cobber follows him with his gaze, bewildered. Cobber, you brought a tux. Brad, didn't everybody? Gary enters last, wearing a muumuu printed to look like a full tuxedo. Cobber stares at him, amused. Gary, burial suit. Contestants surround the table. They are all fresh and dressed in their best clothes. Dolores is not seen. Alan, we seem to be missing a contestant. Anyone seen Dolores? The contestants look around. Dolores is sitting at the table, blank as usual. Courtney points at each chair in turn, counting. Courtney, how come there are 11 chairs and only 10 contestants? Alan and Cobber glance at Gary, then at each other sheepishly. Cobber, well, the chairs are a little delicate. Alan, and we thought it might be best to, Gary beams, closes in on the 2 chairs. Gary, awesome. Do I get 2 plates, too? Cobber gestures grandly. Cobber, please, sit. The contestants all take a seat and gaze at the mountains of food. Cobber, since this will be your last night on the ship, we decided a nice meal together would give you a chance to get to know each other a little before your adventure begins. Everyone stares at Cobber, listening rapidly. Cobber, eat. The contestants fill their plates and start eating. Cobber continued, the chef has prepared some of your favorites, along with some dishes you might be able to prepare from the local resources on Moatani. Brad offers a large bowl of beans to Gary. He looks at them longingly, then waves them off. Gary, I better not. They give me bad gas. Racine, is there any other kind? Interior, ship's cabin, night. The luxurious captain's quarters are all rich mahogany. Nancy sits at a makeup desk in her nightgown, smears green goo on her face. A light knock on the cabin door is followed by Brad. Entering the cabin, he breaks into a huge smile. Brad, I got one. Nancy is clearly excited. How much? 50 grand. Nancy winces. Ouch, 50 big ones? Brad, that was our starting offer, remember? We would have gone 150. Nancy, yes, I suppose. But it's 50 grand less for us. Brad, we're talking about millions. 50G is chump change. Nancy, can we trust them? Brad, why wouldn't we? They get off the island fast for 50,000 guaranteed. Instead of fighting it out with the unlikely prospect of a million that we both know nobody will get. Nancy, except us. Brad, my greedy little princess. Nancy jumps up and plants a big kiss on Brad, leaving his face covered with the green goo. Nancy, how soon can we do it? Brad, well, we should probably wait a few days at least. Nancy, Bradley, the longer the show goes on, the less of the budget we can steal. If it lasts more than a week, it's coming out of your share. External, High seas. Night. The large yacht moves quietly through the waters. Cobber, alone on deck, moves silently to a hatch near the bow and looks around to be sure nobody watches. He pulls it up, drops a six-pack of beer into the hole. Grunts from below, followed by the sound of a beer tab. Cobber drops the hatch shut, stands and turns back toward midships. Brie stands feet away, looking at him quizzically. Brie, up a bit late, aren't you? Cobber, I could say the same about you. Brie smiles, turns and walks to the edge of the boat, stares out across the moonlit water. Brie, I don't sleep much. Hate to miss anything, especially something so beautiful as this. Cobber glances at the hatch, then back to her beautiful silhouette against the water and the moon. Brie continues, have you always wanted to be a producer? Cobber, not really. I wanted a guitar once. Long story, but I've always wanted to be something, and right now it's producer. Brie laughs, turns to face him. Brie, life is more fulfilling when you want to be what you are. Cobber, and how does someone know what they are? Brie, you have to answer that for yourself. Cobber watches as Brie turns away and walks off. Exterior, high seas, day. In the distance, the island of Moatani looms. Stark cliffs, luscious forest, waves pounding on the dark sounds. On the yacht, waves pounding on the dark sands. On the yacht, contestants stand and peer across the blue waters at their new home. Cobber stands behind him. Cobber, there are no barrier reefs here, so the waves are pretty intense. You'll probably want to find an inlet area for your camp. Your first task is to build a fire to mark your position. We'll bring your supplies in by raft when we see the signal. Racine, and how exactly are we getting to shore? Cobber, you have to swim. Courtney, I can't swim. Cobber picks up some kitty water wings from behind him and smiles. Cobber, I'll throw in these water wings. Jeff, you can do the doggy paddle with those, honey. Gary looks at the tiny water wings, then at Cobber. Gary, I can't swim either. Later, the boat is anchored close to shore. Brad and Jasper swim furiously, race to the shoreline. Jasper wins. Jasper stands on the beach and looks back at the boat. He wears a knee-length orange bathing suit with multiple zippered pockets. Farther out, at a leisurely pace, Racine, Atsuko, Teresa, and Brie swim in. Behind them, Courtney paddles along in her water wings, with Jeff alongside, encouraging her. Last in the group plods Gary, large black inner tubes on each of his thick legs, and a half-dozen bright orange water wings on each arm. Dolores is nowhere to be seen. Jasper takes a quick look around, points to a wide inlet where a broad river empties into the ocean. Massive stones form a slightly submerged wall, and the ocean and river break over it to exchange water. Jasper waves to the others and strides toward the inlet. He surveys the scene while the others catch up. Jasper, seems to be plenty of wood around. First thing we need to do is build a signal fire. Racine, who died and elected you king? Teresa, dead people don't vote, and actually, kings aren't elected. Racine glances. No, she doesn't glance. Racine glares at Teresa. Racine, and if I wanted a history lesson, I'd read a book. Atsuko, they did say to make a fire. Anybody know how to start one? Racine, I could beat you with a stick until your head catches fire. Teresa, beating would not create the necessary friction and heat to ignite his hair. In fact, Teresa stops off Racine's furious stare. Jasper pulls a book of waterproof matches from one of his many pockets. Jasper, I suggest matches. Atsuko. Atsuko, some should collect wood. Some should collect wood as others build a fire pit. A huge pile of firewood crashes to the sand. The group turns in unison. Dolores stands beside the pile, expressionless. Later, the sun sinks fast over the ocean. A fire roars on the beach. The girls' tents are set up close together in a small alcove at the edge of the forest along the inlet. The boys' tents are 20 feet away and slightly more spread out. Jasper has found a small cove within the rock wall and made it his home. Each of the tents is scarcely decorated to advertise one of the Baxter family of products. Cobber uses a rock to hammer a spike in on Brie's tent. Brie, are you supposed to be helping? Cobber looks slowly up from the dainty feet, the smooth, shapely calves, the long legs, the tiny red bikini, the flat stomach, and the perfect breast straining for freedom, to the deep blue eyes of Brie. Cobber, no, probably not. Brie, well, it was nice of you. Brie looks into Cobber's clean-shaven face. Super 3 days later. Cobber's face shows stubble. He kneels in the sand beside Alan, who films. Alan, no quitters yet. Cobber, it's only been a few days. Alan, well, with the way Nancy is squandering your budget, there won't be too many days. Cobber looks at Alan seriously. Cobber, what do you mean? We should have at least 2 full weeks. Alan, money is disappearing, Cobb. I haven't quite put my finger on it yet, but I will. In the meantime, it wouldn't hurt to start using your secret weapon. Exterior, Jasper Cove. Day. A small outcropping of rock forms an overhead and rough sides to Jasper's chosen home. His meager belongings neatly rest in various holes within the rock. Jasper sits on a large flat rock near the entrance. It carves a bow from a sturdy but flexible piece of branch. Courtney, off screen. What you doing? Jasper looks up. Courtney stands a few feet away, watching intently. Jasper, making a bow. Courtney, what for? Jasper. To shoot the arrows I make. Courtney. Oh. Courtney peers around the small cave. Courtney. You really know a lot about this kind of stuff, huh? Jasper stays focused on his work without looking up. Jasper. Yeah, quite a bit. Courtney. Where did you learn all this? Jasper. I was raised by apes and had to fend for myself since I was 7. After a moment, Jasper looks up. Courtney stares blankly. Jasper. Like Tarzan. Courtney still draws a blank. Jasper. The ape man left for dead in the forest? Nothing. Jasper. Texas. I learned it in Texas. Courtney beams. Courtney. Oh, cool. Exterior camp. Night. As darkness falls. Between the tents and the waterline, a large campfire burns. Over it, a crude stick structure holds a large pot. Around the fire, the contestants sit on a stand. Not on a stand. Around the fire, the contestants sit on the sand, eating pork and beans from super thin, cheap paper plates. Alan moves around the periphery, filming. Exterior, ocean, night. Cobber swims quietly toward the yacht in the distance. External, camp, night. Around the campfire, the survivors are still eating. Gary, to Courtney. It was nice of you to share your food. Racine. I hope you don't get to thinking we owe you for it. Courtney. I planned on saving them for when I was, starving. Jeff. Wise plan. What made you change your mind? Courtney. I was starving. Brie. Still, you didn't have to share. Courtney. I kinda did, since I couldn't open the can and I don't know how to cook them. Besides, everyone helped. Gary brought the pan, Jasper made the fire, Teresa brought paper plates. Teresa. Biodegradable. Jasper scoops beans that are falling through a hole in his plate. Jasper. I think they already started. Racine. Only one of us can win. This ain't no fucking buddy party. Everyone focuses on their eating. Jasper breaks the awkward silence. Jasper. Notice how the simplest foods taste so much better out in the wild? Someone lets out a small fart. Gary. Oops. Excuse me. It's the beans. Brad. Smells like girl fart. Courtney. Girl fart. Brad. Light, tasteless, and aromatic. Racine. There's a boy that never been trapped under my sheets. Alan laughs. Racine shoots him a glance. Racine to Alan. That funny, chicken man? You wish you were so lucky? Gary struggles to his feet. Gary. I better head to bed. It could be dangerous this close to the fire. Gary waddles toward his tent in the background. Teresa. Actually, the amount of gas required in an open space such as this. Gary opens the flap to his tent. A candle burns from a small stone inside. Teresa continued. In order to combust, Gary opens the tent, turns around, and zips the flap shut. Teresa continued. Is much higher than that required in an enclosed space. A thunderous fart from the tent. The tent lights up as if lightning had struck. The flap blows open as the entire tent puffs out. Teresa. Such as a tent. The group gasps, stares in surprise. Gary sticks his head out of the tent. Gary. I'm okay. Exterior yacht. Night. Cobber climbs the rope ladder, drops to the deck. He moves quietly and quickly to the hatch at the bow, pulls it open. Cobber. It's time. External beach. Day. Morning. Gary, Jasper, and Jeff stand knee-deep in the water. Gary and Jeff each hold a fishing line. Jasper holds his bow, an arrow firmly seated and ready. 20 yards out, Atsuka swims back and forth in front of him. Jasper keenly searches the water. Jeff glances at him and smiles. Jeff. I may not be a hunter, but I don't think you can shoot a fish. Jasper. Think of it as a powered spear. Jeff. Oh, I like that. Jasper suddenly pulls the arrow back, takes aim, and lets it fly into the water. He dives forward, disappearing in the water. Jasper reemerges with the arrow, a large fish cleanly impaled. Jasper. Quick, clean, and no bait. Jeff. Bait? Gary suddenly tenses up, points out across the water. Gary. Shark! 20 yards from Atsuko, a shark fin is clearly visible, moving quickly toward him. Atsuko is oblivious. Gary and Jeff begin jumping and waving at Atsuko, yelling, Shark! Shark! Jasper pulls the fish from his arrow and throws it to the beach. He recocks his arrow and takes aim. Atsuko, noticing the commotion, smiles and waves. The fin is upon Atsuko. His hands fly into the air as he is pulled down where Jasper lets the arrow fly. The fin disappears beneath the water. All three stand on the beach, staring. The water splashes and foams for a moment. Then nothing. Interior, production tent, day. A large, luxurious main room with wooden beams leads off to 2 bedroom areas and a kitchen dining room with table, microwave, stove, and refrigerator. A large sofa, several chairs, tables, and lights adorn the room. An air conditioner hums from a reinforced window, the sound of a generator in the distance. Nancy sits in a chair by the AC unit and skims through a magazine. Cobber enters. Nancy drops the magazine. Nancy, there you are. I'm bored. You want to do me for lunch? Cobber, tempting as that is, I don't have time. We've lost a contestant. Nancy, how exciting. Who quit? Cobber, nobody. Atsuko was apparently eaten by a shark. Everybody is a little freaked out about it. Nancy, all those years of eating sushi. Is anyone else quitting? Cobber stares at her, unbelieving. Cobber, the man is dead. Nancy, so how many does that leave? 9? Cobber shakes his head. Cobber, I have to follow the contestants. Want to come? Nancy, yes, but not outside. It's too hot. Cobber, are you going to stay in this tent the whole time? Nancy, I have to walk to the bathroom and shower, which, by the way, is disgusting. You need to hang some of those little smelly trees in there. Cobber, at least we have a bathroom. Nancy, I know this might not... Nancy, I know this might not be a big change for you, Cobber, but I'm not used to crude living. Cobber, I'm aware of that. Have you seen Alan? Nancy, no, but he woke me with his stupid yakking on the phone this morning. He seems pissed off or annoyed. Who can tell with him? Exterior, forest path, day. Jasper, machete in hand, leads the way through thick underbrush, hacking a path as he goes. He's followed by Brad and Jeff. Both carry sharpened sticks. Jasper, should be plenty of meat further in. Wild pigs, maybe goats or sheep. Farther back along the path, Cobber, with a camera, walks with Brie. Cobber, I wouldn't have guessed you the type to go on a mission for money. Brie, I suppose typecasting people goes with your profession. Everything is about the show. Is that it? It might interest you to know I didn't come for the money. Cobber, was it the lure of a free trip with luxury accommodations? Brie stops. Brie, you know, the problem with viewing the world through a camera lens is that everything is two-dimensional. Cobber, okay, so what am I missing? Brie, life. Isn't the chance to experience it enough? Brie, a mysterious sparkle in her eyes, looks Cobber over before she walks on, catches up with Jasper. Brad hangs back and waits for Cobber, who slowly catches him. Brad, what's the story with you and Nancy? Cobber, meaning what? Brad, meaning, are you just using her for fun, games, and money? Cobber, unconvincingly, No, I like her. Brad, well, I love her. Cobber, right. Brad takes Cobber's shoulder, stops him. Brad, I want to marry her. Cobber, that I believe, not so much the love thing. Brad, I don't care what you believe. What are your intentions? You going to ask her to marry you? The two study each other, both serious. Cobber, no. Brad, then step away, man. I promise to make sure you get funding for your projects. Cobber, dude, I don't deal with people. We got something going on. I don't think it's going to last forever, but I'm not breaking her heart and selling her out because you got the hots for her. Brad laughed maniacally. Brad, are you serious? If it wasn't for that stupid tongue trick, she would have dumped your ass already. Cobber strides up the path. Brad calls after him. Brad, Cobber, I'm serious. Teach me that trick and you'll see. I'll make sure you get what you want. Cobber pushes past a heavy bush and stops. Jasper has his hand in the air. Jeff and Brie stand beside him. Cobber inches forward as Brad joins him. Beside him, planted in the earth and 12 feet high, an ornately carved totem of hewn stone. Jeff, yo, I thought this place was uninhabited. Cobber, it is, but it wasn't always. The group studies the totem. It has hundreds of intricate carvings of little tiny people with broad faces. Jasper solemnly traces the outline of one with a finger. Brad, they must have worshipped very tiny gods. Jasper, Menehune. Cobber, who's a what? Jasper, the ancient Menehune of the Hawaiian Islands supposedly originated here. According to legend, they're playful pixies that sing and dance. Jeff, that would be a musical to see. Brie, they don't want to be seen, and according to legend, have Medusa's power to turn you to stone if you look in their eyes. Everyone looks at Brie, surprised. Brie, it's true. Blondes can read. Jeff, imagine that. Tiny, singing, dancing stoners. Brad, and blondes that read. 20 yards ahead, a wild pig snorts and digs in a flat spot of vegetation. Everyone jumps except Jasper. Jasper, it's just a pig. Jeff, it's a ham sandwich with no bread. Jasper, you know how to field dress a pig? Jeff, start with his socks? Brad shoulders his way forward. Brad, what are we waiting for? Let's attack that... No, that's not what he says. What are we waiting for? Let's stick that pork on a pole. Brad sneaks on. Jeff follows his lead. Jasper, I don't think it's a good idea to go beyond this totem. Brad and Jeff ignore him. Crouch forward, spears high. Brad trips, falls into a bush. The pig snorts, looks at Brad and Jeff, and runs into deeper brush. Brad and Jeff holler like tribal idiots and race into the woods after the pig. Cobber and Brie look to Jasper. He is calm. Jasper, they'll be right back. In the distance, the sound of pig snorts. Jeff off screen. He's trapped. Brad off screen. Throw it! The sound of sticks bouncing off rocks. Jeff off screen. Whoa, shit! Silence. Beat. Jeff and Brad emerge at full speed from the underbrush, running toward Jasper, the pig hot on their heels. Jasper raises his machete high back over his shoulder. Brad and Jeff's eyes grow wide. Jasper, down! Brad and Jeff dropped to the ground as Jasper hurled the machete sails end over end above their heads. The pig lets out a long, disconcerting squeal. External camp day. The pig roasts over the fire pit. Gary sits on the sand beside the pit and stares at the pig. Along the shore, Brad stands waist deep in the water holding onto a fishing line in his hands. Jasper wades out to him, carries a sharpened stick. Jasper, any luck? Brad, some nibbles, I think. Jasper, what are you using for bait? Brad, bait? Jasper walks 20 paces off and stares in the water. He raises the stick, thrusts it in the water, pulls out a large fish. He walks back to shore. Brad starts pulling in his line, wraps it around his hand as he makes faces behind Jasper's back. Resistance. He tugs easy, smiles, then gives the line a yank. He screams. Brad, ah! Only much louder. Later, Brad lies on his back on the bench. No, there's no bench. He lies on his back on the beach, near the campfire, surrounded by all the contestants. Jasper bends over Brad's crotch and works on the buried hook. Brie, why did you pull it? Brad, I thought I had a fish. Racine bends over, takes a good look at Brad's crotch. Racine, a minnow? Brad is about to respond when Jasper gives a yank. Brad screams and puts both hands on his crotch, bolts to a sitting position. Brad, you can't get off! Jasper, I resent your phrasing. Besides, it's just a little piece. Racine, a little piece is all there was. Jasper holds the hook up. A small piece of Brad's manhood dangles off it. Racine, finally circumcised. Jasper, now you've got bait. Brad, to Cobber, I need a doctor. Cobber, he doesn't make house calls. I can take you to the boat, but then you're out of the game. Brad, how about a fucking Band-Aid? Jasper pulls a condom from his pocket, holds it out. Everyone looks at it. Racine, is it extra small? Later. Yeah, that's it. Later, the campfire roars. The pig, badly butchered, remains on the spit feet away from the fire. Everyone but Brad and Courtney sit around the fire and eat, as Cobber directs Alan's filming. Brad hobbles over from the wood line, his legs bowed. No, they're bowed. His legs bowed, his crotch the size of a melon. Courtney follows a few steps behind, mimics Brad's walk. Everyone chuckles as Courtney says, Racine, you're cold-hearted. Under that girl next door look. Courtney, what? I used the wrong kind of leaves. Brie, leaves of 3. Let them be. Courtney, I wasn't counting. Racine, girl, they'll give you tampons. Use those. Brad, I tried that, but they're so hard to get out. Beat. Nancy calls from inside the production tent. Nancy, OS. Cobber! Something like that. Cobber runs for the tent. Jeff winks at Brad. Jeff, want me to rub some ointment on that? Racine, saliva is good for wounds. Interior, production tent, continuous. Nancy sits on the couch and stares at the TV as Cobber runs in. Nancy, I can't get lost. Cobber, why would you want to get lost? Nancy, pointing at the television. On the TV, all I get is that. Cobber, the dish must be out of line. Nancy, I'm really not interested in why, Cobber. Just fix it so I don't miss my show. External camp day. The sun is going down over the ocean. I thought I was going to sneeze, but I didn't. Near the campfire. Did cough, though. Near the campfire, Courtney, Racine, Nancy, Brad, and Brie sit holding marshmallows over the fire on stick. Racine to Nancy, sarcastically. So why you out here with us? TV broke? Nancy. Oh, I don't think so. Cobber needs to fiddle with the antenna or something. Brie. He does a lot, it seems. Nancy, you have no idea. Brie glances toward the hut curiously. Gary waddles from the woods, sits down next to Courtney. He leans over, breathes heavily. Courtney, are you all right? Gary nods, breathing too hard to answer. Racine, you sound like a 3-speed in 4th gear. Brad, I don't want to get personal, but what made you think you could win a survival contest? Gary slowly controls his breathing, looks around at them, lowers his head. Gary, I never planned on winning. Everyone waits for him to go on. Gary goes on. I just wanted to do something before I die. Nancy, listen, you're a little, a lot fat, but you'll be fine. Gary, I have cancer, maybe a week to live. Beat. Gary continues, I have no family, never had sex, never even left my hometown. I just didn't want to die without doing something. Later, only Brie, Courtney, Nancy, and Racine remain around the campfire and sit close together. Racine holds 4 straws in her fist, the top sticking out of her hand at an even length. Courtney, longest straw wins. Racine, more like shortest straw loses. Nancy, listen, I'm only playing along if I don't lose. The other girls stare at her. Nancy, sorry, but Daddy was crushed to death. It's awful. Racine holds the straws up. Courtney takes one, then Nancy, then Brie. They all hold them up. Bree's is the shortest. Interior, Gary's tent, night. Gary looks up from his sleeping bag as the flap opens and Brie steps in wearing her skimpy suit. Brie, care for company? Gary, I appreciate it, but I'm not looking for sympathy. Brie shrugs her shoulders, turns to leave. Gary, wait! I said I wasn't looking, not that I wouldn't take it. Exterior, camp day. The sun rises over the sea. Along the shore, the contestants stand by a makeshift raft. On it, Gary lies, hands folded over his chest. Cobber looks around at the somber faces. Cobber, anyone want to say a few words? Alan steps forward when nobody else responds. He takes off his hat, holds it over his chest, bows his head slightly. Alan, Gary was a big, big man. He had a crappy life, but a fucking awesome death. Amen. The guys look at Brie and nod solemnly. Brie and Cobber share a glance. Cobber troubled. Brie questioning. The contestants, except for Jasper, push the raft out into the waves. Cobber helps push. Alan films. The tide is incoming. The raft crashes back to the shore, rolls Gary into the water on top of Racine. Racine scrambles to get out from under him. His hand snags her breast. She slaps him. Racine, son of a bitch, some guys just can't get enough. Jasper, you might want to wait for an outgoing tide. The group struggles to get Gary back on the raft. External woods day. Cobber sits on a large rock with an orange in one hand. Brad crouches beside him. Brad, why the sudden change in attitude? Cobber, I guess I'm learning a new perspective. Brad, why should I trust you? Cobber jumps up and walks away. Cobber, don't. Why the hell should I care? Brad grabs him by the shoulder, stops him. Brad, hey, take it easy. Just a sudden decision. I wondered why. Cobber, look, I don't want a girl that wants to be with someone else, okay? If you know the trick, I guess I'll know the truth. Beat. Cobber moves back to the rock and sits. He holds up the orange. Cobber, all right, this is your geographical target. Brad, it's an orange. Cobber stares at him, pats him on the shoulder. Cobber, very good. Now we put some moss around it and slap it with a tuna, but if you just visualize, we'll get through this faster. Brad nods. Cobber takes a knife and peels away a fourth of the orange. You don't want to fuck up this side. Cobber takes a knife and peels away a fourth of the orange rind vertically, exposing 3 slices. He cuts out the center slice and pokes a deep hole in the orange where the missing slice was. He uses the knife to shred up the pulp in pieces on either side of the missing slice. He squeezes it a little. Cobber gets the juices running. Cobber uses the knife to pluck a seed out. He holds it up. Cobber, this is your primary target. Brad, a seed? Cobber, yes, the seed of joy, I call it. Cobber uses his finger to push the seed into the orange. Cobber, now the thing is, the seed likes to hide, so the first thing you gotta do is find it. Cobber holds the orange out to Brad. Brad starts to take it, and Cobber pulls it back. Cobber, not with your eyes. It's scary down there. You have to find it with your tongue, peeling away each petal of the flower gently. Brad closes his eyes, puts out his hand. Cobber, I'll hold it. Now start around the edges and get a feel for where you are. Breathe through your mouth. Cobber holds the orange to Brad's face. Brad runs his tongue around the peel, digs it into the crevice. Cobber pulls the orange away. Cobber, what are you, Zorro? Be gentle, soft. Use the whole brunt of your tongue to slowly explore. Don't just clam it in there like a dagger. Cobber paces back and forth. Cobber, I should have known this wouldn't work. Brad, I'm sorry. I can do this. Cobber, the seed is the very essence of a young woman's desire. It wants you to find it, but it will try to run away as soon as you do. Brad, okay, you got it. Cobber, you have to master this before you can learn the true secret. External. Camp. Day. The sun falls slowly down the horizon, casting dazzling rays across the water. Brie, Racine, and Courtney stand along the shore and watch as the crude raft carries Gary slowly out to sea. Behind the tents, on a rock outcropping, Jasper, Brad, Jeff, and Alan sit on the rocks with oranges in their faces. Jeff holds his orange out and scowls at it. Jeff, that's nasty. Brad, breathe through your mouth. Jasper, inspecting his orange. I think I swallowed my seed. Alan, dude, that's an entirely different lesson. Series of shots. The night passes. Brie takes an orange from a basket near the fire. It is mutilated. She grabs another. Same. She looks up and down the darkening beach. The group sits beside the campfire and watches the raft fade into the distance as the moon highlights it on the water. On the beach, they watch the raft sink. Jasper, so long, Jonah. External camp night. Only Jasper remains. He sits at the edge of the shore and stares out across the water at the yacht in the distance. Courtney walks up slowly beside him, sits, draws circles in the sand with her toe. Courtney, this isn't exactly what I expected. Jasper, really? The orgy's getting dull? Courtney, there are orgies? Jasper, we could start one. Jasper and Courtney walk slowly toward her tent. On the water, Cobber sits in a raft and quietly rows toward the ship. External camp day. A beautiful sunrise as contestants wake and groggily pull themselves from their tents. The campsite is a mess. Belongings are strewn halfway across the beach. Jeff picks up several empty water containers. Jasper stares at the dead fire. Courtney picks up a pair of bikini panties from the sand. Jeff, someone dumped out all our water. Jasper, somebody put out our fire. Courtney, someone's been sniffing my panties. Everyone turns and stares at Courtney. She holds the panties up and shrugs. Jasper, that was me. They all turn to Jasper. Brad, you dumped our water. Jasper, no, I sniffed the panties. Courtney looks at Jasper, gives him a wink and a smile. Cobber stands a dozen paces away. Next to him, Alan films. Cobber to Alan, bet somebody gives up soon. Alan, you dumped our water? Cobber, no. Alan, the panties? Cobber, it's part of phase 2, dude. Wait for it. Jasper looks around the beach, spots a huge footprint in the sand. He stoops down to check it out. Jasper, guys, I think we had some company. Everyone runs over and stares at the 6-toed footprint almost 2 feet long. The girls gasp and look around. Cobber has a hard time hiding his smile. Cobber, some kind of Bigfoot. Jasper, Bigfoot is American. This is more like Godzilla. Jasper takes a small stick and points at the print. Near the heel, a small indentation in the sand reads, Made in Japan. Everyone stares at Cobber. Cobber, listen, nothing in the rules keeps me from playing tricks. I have a limited budget. I have to keep things moving along. Brie, anything for the show, huh? Pretty lame. Racine, you would have more money if you didn't bring all these helpers. Cobber, it's one dude and he works for beer. Racine, how did one guy make 100 little tiny footprints? Everyone stares at Racine. Racine, don't tell me I'm the only one that saw all those baby prints around the tents. Jasper is excited. Jasper, the Menehune. Racine, are they made in Japan too? Jasper runs to the tents to check the tracks. Brad sneaks behind Nancy, pinches her butt. Nancy screams, spins, knees him in the crotch. Brad grabs his crotch, drops to the sand. Nancy, son of a bitch, don't do that. Brad, oh fuck, they just healed. Racine, I'm not afraid of fat white men in rubber suits or Mengoonies. Jeff, something made those tracks. Brie, and mutilated the oranges. Racine to Cobber threateningly, I'll be last to leave, and you better save... what the fuck does she say? To Cobber threateningly, I'll be the last to leave, and you better have my money. Jasper rejoins the group. Jasper, you can't win, any of you. Everyone looks at Jasper. Some sneer, some question. Even Brad stops his whining and stares. Brad, and why is that, Tarzan? Jasper, because I don't intend to leave at all, even after you're all gone. Interior. Production tent, Nancy's room, day. Nancy lies on the full-size bed and watches TV. Cobber sits on a chair facing her, upset. Cobber, it's only been 8 days, Nancy. How can we be running out of money? Nancy, you're the one that set the budget. Cobber, I didn't count on setting up luxury accommodations with satellite television, air-conditioned tents, and daily 4-star dining with a chef and a butler. Nancy, well, you should have, I guess. Did you think I was going to live like a peasant? Cobber, no, I thought you would stay at home in your castle. Nancy, well, I didn't. So I guess maybe you're better as a tampon inspector than a business manager. Cobber, I only did one thing as manager. I told you, it's not what I want, Nancy. And I'm telling you that in 2 days you better have a winner or else you'll be spending their reward money. Cobber, you have a contractual obligation to pay the winner. Nancy, then we shut down in 2 days. Cobber gets up and turns off the TV. He stares at Nancy. Cobber, if I didn't finish this, my film career is over. Wait, he didn't say that right. Cobber, say it again. If I don't finish this, my film career is over. Nancy, you don't have a film career to lose. Cobber, I have another plan. I'll shut down this tent and stay until the last contestant quits, even if it means living like a contestant myself. Cobber storms out of the tent. External camp day. Dark clouds move in across the ocean toward the shore. A net has been stretched out on the beach, and Brie and Jeff play volleyball against Racine and Courtney. High in a tree above, Jasper's tent. Jasper climbs among the branches, stretches a wide sheet of plastic among the limbs. He tugs it down near the center and cuts a hole in it. Beneath the hole, a large plastic bucket is perched in the branches. On the beach, Alan films the volleyball game. Paying extra attention to Racine, he focuses in on an advertisement hung on the net. Be confident, be dry, be assured. Baxter pads and tampons keep you in the game. Brie jumps, smashes the volleyball across the net to feed to Racine. Racine, why you gotta be hitting those low balls at me? Brie, because you miss them. Racine, you don't hit those to Courtney because she's a white girl. Jeff, oh, not again. Ain't nobody here care what color you are, girl. Racine, I know prejudice when I see it, but boy, Jeff, but not when you use it, I guess. Courtney, I get that kind of thing all the time for being blonde. Racine, you're not blonde. Courtney, I know, right? Brie, so much for stereotypes. Jeff, everybody gets shit for something. You think Gary never suffered for his weight? Racine, that's not the same. He was a lazy fat ass and a dead pervert. He could have changed. I can't not be black or a woman. Double whammy. Jeff, oh please, sister girl, be thankful you aren't a gay black man. Courtney, I'm Mormon. Everybody freezes. Looks at Courtney with sympathy. Courtney, not a good one. They all relax and play ball. Interior, production tent, day. Cobber enters, sounds of lovemaking from Nancy's bedroom. He moves quietly to the flap, looks in. Nancy lies on the bed under a sheet, knees up and spread wide. Under the sheet, a head bobs furiously. Nancy, yes, now, do it. Cobber, he doesn't know how to do it. He hasn't gotten to lesson 2 yet. Nancy gasps, drops her knees. Alan climbs out from under the sheet and pokes his head out. Nancy, Cobber, I take it you weren't expecting me. Nancy, I thought that. Cobber, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Cobber looks directly at Brad. Cobber, you're disqualified and out of the competition. Brad, bullshit. You can't do that just because you're jealous. Cobber, after your fishing accident and your performance here, I really don't think that's an issue. But contestants aren't allowed in the production tent. It's in your contract. You're out. Cobber turns to leave. Nancy, everyone is out, Cobber. Cobber turns back to face her. She pushes Alan out of the way. Wait a minute, not out of the way. She pushes Alan away and sits up on the bed. Cobber, what are you talking about, Nancy? You're broke. You went way over budget, and auditors are coming to investigate what you have done with all that money. Your show is over. Cobber, over budget? That's crazy. I haven't spent a fourth of... Interrupted. Nancy, you have been stealing, and you got caught. Did you really think you could get away with it? Cobber, I never stole a single... Interrupted. Alan, tell it to the judge, Cobhead. Maybe the boys in prison will appreciate your little trick. Take plenty of oranges. Nancy, everything gets packed up in the morning. Cobber, what about a winner? There are contracts, Nancy. Your problem. No doubt the judge will add to your sentence for that. External, beach, night. The moon hangs on the horizon. Cobber sits on the sand, watches the waves roll in. Brie walks quietly beside him and sits. Brie, feel like company? Cobber, feel like shit. Brie, you're kidding, right? Big-time producer doing your dream job, aren't you? Cobber laughs wryly. Cobber, more like a nightmare. I'll be glad when it's over. I only came for the show, remember? Brie, glad when it's over? You told me you wanted to do it, not to be done with it. You plan on waiting until you die to enjoy being alive? Cobber, no, of course not. But life is no bed of roses where we just do what we want and nothing ever goes wrong. Brie, no shit. How boring would that be? Appreciating hard times and knowing they will pass too makes the journey all the more sweet. Brie and Cobber spend an eye-to-eye, soul-searching moment. Cobber breaks the gaze and looks out over the water. Cobber, maybe you're right. I never really thought about how beautiful it is out here until you mentioned it. Brie, it is beautiful. Cobber looks her in her eyes. Brie, it's never too late, you know. Cobber, for what? Brie, to have new dreams, to open your eyes, to appreciate the miracle of life. Beat. Cobber, is this everything you thought it would be? Brie, yes, because I didn't try to define it. I just wanted to experience it. They lean slowly toward one another. Their lips are about to touch. Cobber pulls back. Brie, what's wrong? Cobber, reluctantly. Nothing. Just, I heard about that Gary thing. Brie, what about it? Cobber, it seems kinda gross. Brie is instantly furious. She jumps to her feet, glares down at Cobber. Brie, God, are you really so self-centered? There's something gross about spending a little time comforting a dying man? Your priorities really are messed up. Brie storms away. She stops, turns back. Brie continues. I don't know what you heard, but I drew the short straw, and my word means something to me. And by the way, I didn't fuck him. Not that it's any of your business. We talked and laughed, and I hope he died believing he had a friend. Brie strides toward her tent. Cobber sits stunned on the beach alone. Cobber, Sato. Note to self. Appreciating life doesn't mean you never get pissed. Behind Brie's tent, the leaves of nearby trees and bushes rustle. Shadows flit between the trees. Interior, production tent. Alan's room. Night. Cobber enters, closes the flap behind him. Alan paces with a satellite phone to his ear. Cobber, you got a bunkmate tonight? No, that's not how he says it. You got a bunkmate tonight. Alan acknowledges him with an impatient gesture. Alan into phone. What? That's bullshit. You offer half that, and if they don't blink, take it to Fox. Trust me, just do it. I'll call in the morning. Oh, and get me that account information I asked about. Alan puts the phone down, nods at Cobber. Alan, love respect? Cobber, it's over. Alan, about time you got your balls back. Alan picks up a book of notes and glances over. Alan picks up a book of notes and glances over them. Cobber, I think I'm in love. Alan, nothing breaks up a relationship faster. Cobber can't help but laugh, but quickly gets serious again. Cobber, Nancy pulled the plug on a show. Accused me of stealing from the company. Alan, she's right. There are millions missing. Cobber, what? Wait a minute, you think I... Alan, interrupting, of course not, but somebody is. Cobber, you knew? Alan, of course I knew. You made me CEO, didn't you? Cobber, well, what am I supposed to do? She says she's shutting everything down tomorrow. Alan, don't worry about it. Cobber, you have a plan? Alan, no, but worrying won't help. Cobber, you're starting to sound like Brie. Alan finally looks up from his notes. Alan, your new love interest? Cobber, I'm afraid I already blew my chance. Alan, tomorrow is a new day, maybe a new chance. Alan goes back to studying his notes. Cobber, so you're getting into this business empire shit, huh? Alan grinned sheepishly. Alan, I really do. I have a knack for it. Cobber, and Racine? Alan, what? Cobber, come on. I'm not blind, Alan. She's a firecracker. I've never met someone so fierce. And the beauty is, I think she really is mean. External. Brie's tent. Night. A dozen tiny figures, pixies, 4 to 6 inches tall with broad faces, run quickly to the tent in the darkness. The pixies form a ladder by standing on each other's shoulders. The top pixies grabs the tent zipper and jumps, rides it down like a zip line. The pixies quickly scan the area and enter the tent. Exterior, Brie's tent, day. Jasper kneels in the sand beside the tent and studies the footprints. Cobber, Jeff, Courtney, Racine, and Alan search in and around the tent. Racine to Cobber, if this is another one of your special tricks, somebody gonna get hurt. Cobber, I had nothing to do with it. Jasper, Menehune. Jeff, I prefer pixies. Cobber, whatever, this is serious, all right? Cobber has a newfound sense of urgency and command. Cobber to Alan, you stay here with the girls. Find Nancy and Alan. Tell them to get out to the ship and call for help. Cobber continues to Jasper. Can you track them? Jasper nods. Cobber points at Jeff. Cobber, you come with us. Everyone is stunned by the sudden change in tone. Cobber looks at Jasper. Cobber, let's go. Everyone breaks the huddle and moves. Alan grabs Cobber and pulls him aside. Alan, this part of your plan? Cobber, no. Alan, so you're saying she was really dragged away by little tiny people? Cobber, all I know is she's gone and I have to find her. Alan, it's all falling apart, Cobb. The stolen money thing is serious business. You willing to trade everything you wanted for another guitar? Cobber looks at Jasper and Jeff waiting on him. Cobber, yes. Alan is solemn for a moment before breaking into a huge grin. Alan, then go find her. External. Forest, day. Jasper leads Cobber and Jeff quickly down a narrow path, layering brush with his machete. Cobber pushes aside a branch and moves forward. He lets it go. It smacks Jeff in the face. Jeff, ow, damn, be careful. Cobber looks over his shoulder to answer Cobber. You need to be more observant. Cobber turns back and is smacked in the face with a branch. Jasper just passed. Jeff, karma can be a bitch. Jasper stops, kneels, checks prints, moves on. 20 paces, his hand in the air. They stop. They listen. The sound of a waterfall in the distance. The pace slows, another 40 yards. The waterfall loud now. They break into a clearing, where lies a beautiful pond of blue, crashing white as a tremendous waterfall spills into it. Along either side of the falls, a steep, rocky climb. Jasper quickly finds signs of passage along the right side of the falls. He points out the marks in rough dirt and rock. They climb. At the top, more signs. They follow upstream. External forest ritual ground. Continuous. A large circular area of flat low grass surrounded by dense forest. Along the edge, 2 thick 15-foot stone totems stand on either side of a large stone altar. Brie lies on the altar, faces to the sun, her hands and legs stretched bound to the totems with hundreds of tiny ropes. Her face is painted like an exotic feline, with stripes that look like a cat's whiskers. A dozen pixies stand guard on the altar. One stands on Brie's chest, humps her breast. Another holds one of her toes and humps her foot. Brie, get off me, you little pervert. Brie struggles. The pixie on her breast moans. 300 or so pixies dance, chant, and sing in a circle. Many drink from tiny stone cups and stumble about drunkenly. 30 yards from the altar along the wood line, Cobber, Jasper, and Jeff hide behind a large tree and observe Cobber. What the fuck? Jasper, they're trying to crossbreed. Jeff, her toe? Jasper, they'll figure it out sooner or later. No, Jasper says, they'll figure it out eventually. Jeff, they'd have to go spelunking. Cobber starts into the clearing. Jasper grabs it, pulls it back. Jasper, wait, you can't just run out there, Indy. Cobber pulls a short knife from his belt. Cobber, I'm not leaving her there while munchkins hump her boobs. Jeff, pixies. Jasper, Menehune. Cobber, whatever. Jasper, we need a diversion. You wait for it, then cut her loose. We'll meet at the falls. Cobber, what are you going to do? Jasper studies the area. Jasper, smiling. Divert. beat. Cobber hunches down and watches while Jasper and Jeff move quickly and quietly back into the woods. They follow the edge of the clearing until they are almost directly across from the altar. Cobber watches Jasper and Jeff run into the circle from across the clearing. The pixies, startled, fall away from them, opening a path. Jasper and Jeff make it halfway from the woods to the altar, and the path closes in on them. All the pixies, except those on the altar, attack them. Jasper, don't look in their eyes. Jeff, no shit. Jasper and Jeff run back toward the edge of the woods. Pixies jump on them, bite them, try to trip them. Jasper and Jeff punch, throw, and kick pixies through the air. The pixies scream as they fly. Cobber watches pixies launched in every direction, screaming in their little munchkin voices. Jasper and Jeff look like two slow-moving beekeepers covered with the furry pixies. Cobber, Sato, this what your plan? He dashes to the altar, swipes his knife through the ropes on Brie's nearest leg. Bree, where's your shining armor? Cobber, huh? Bree, isn't this the part where you play the knight? Cobber stares at her. One of the pixies throws a tiny spear. It sticks in Cobber's foot. Cobber, ow! Cobber grabs his foot, hops around as he pulls a little stick from his toe. He stares at the pixies. Cobber, that hurt! The pixies look back at him. Bree, don't look in their eyes. Another pixie throws a spear. Then another. They both strike Cobber's leg in rapid order. He averts his eyes to the new attackers. Cobber, ow! Ow! Cobber kicks out, sends the two new pixies sailing off the altar. They scream. Cobber kicks the first pixie, strides to the other side of the altar, and hacks the ropes from Bree's legs, then wrist. Bree grabs the pixie from her chest and heaves it into the field. Bree, sick little furball. Cobber grabs Bree's hand and pulls her up from the altar. Cobber, I got you. Bree, must be a great video moment. Bree snatches her hand away, runs for the woods, untying the ropes that trail her like wisps. Cobber, exasperated, follows, catches her at the tree line where Bree stoops and wipes her foot. Bree, disgusting. Cobber, listen, I'm not filming this. Bree, what a sacrifice. Cobber, I'm sorry, okay? Bree points at the field. 24 pixies tumble across the grass toward them. Bree, save it. In the distance, Jasper and Jeff make it to the woods and disappear. Bree runs deeper in the woods. Cobber follows. Cobber, fine, but unless you want to be the next pixie queen, you better follow me. Bree stops. Cobber gives her an angry look that braces off at an angle toward the waterfall. Bree runs behind him. Jasper and Jeff have a half-dozen pixies hanging from them as they stumble through the forest. Jump rocks crash through the underbrush. Jasper carries a spear with 3 pixies impaled on it like decorations. Jeff pulls a pixie from his neck and bashes it into a tree as he runs. Jasper runs through a thick mesh of waist-high bushes and scrapes the remaining pixies from his legs. Jeff squeals and stops the pixie, grabs his crotch. Jeff, oh, no, you didn't. Jeff grabs the pixie, swings it around his head by one leg as it screams, and lets it fly into the woods. Jeff and Jasper reach the river and jump. They let the water carry them downstream. Pixies congregate on the shoreline. Sweat. They shout and pump their fists. Some throw spears that fall harmlessly in the stream. Cobber and Bree crouch behind large rocks and listen as a half-dozen pixies scurry by a dozen yards away. From behind Cobber, the sound of something much bigger moving through the woods. Cobber and Bree spin, crouch lower and peer into the trees. Something large moves from tree to tree. It snaps and crunches through the underbrush. It draws near. Cobber picks up a large rock, holds it ready. Bree, you're a photographer? Cobber, give it a rest, would you? Gary steps from behind a tree. He has lost a ton of weight. His hair is tousled and dirty, and he sports a wild man's beard and mustache. Cobber, Gary? Gary, Mr. Ribald, I'm sure I'm glad to see you. I can't find the camp. Gary walks over and stoops down beside him. He whispers conspiratorially. Gary, hiding from the little folk. Cobber, yes, you seen them? Gary, oh, yeah, nasty little fuckers, but tasty. Brie, they're Menehune. That's right. They're Menehune. Good job, Brie. Gary, I call them crunchy nuggets. Brie, we thought you were dead, Gary. I might have been, but we should maybe move before we share stories. Cobber, come on, Cobber. Moves off through the woods. Bree and Gary follow. They move slowly and carefully through the trees and brush occasionally, stopping as the sounds of little pixies are heard in the distance. Bree, did you really eat them? Gary, they bit me first. External, waterfall, day. Above the falls, 20 yards upstream, a wall of large rocks lie across the river. Further upstream, the river plows along with gentle force. On the near side of the rocks, the water churns into a narrow channel of smooth rock before falling 30 feet to the lake below. On the rocks, Jasper and Jeff pick splinters and spears from their arms and legs. Noise from the woods across the water. They tense. Cobber, Bree, and Gary emerge from the woods, spot Jasper and Jeff, and wave. Jeff, Sato, Gary? The three make their way to the rocks. Jasper, Gary? Gary, in the flesh. Jeff, a lot less of it. Looking good. We thought, Gary, yeah, that I was dead. I hear that a lot. I'm not. The new arrivals sit on the rocks and check their numerous rooms. Gary, I thought I was dead, but I just fell asleep, I guess. I woke up inside a fish that had washed ashore. Jasper, no shit. Gary, I think it choked to death trying to swallow me. Bree, but we checked your pulse, Gary. Hard to find on a fat man. Trust me, I'm alive and feeling better than I have in years. Cobber, where have you been all this time? Gary, searching for the camp. sleeping in caves and logs. A tiny spear smashes into Gary's arm. He looks at it, pulls it out. Gary, damn, he's hurt. A chorus of angry, shouting voices. Menehune by the dozens emerge from the woods on either side of the water. All carry small spears or tiny bows and arrows. Cobber looks from side to side, then behind him. Cobber, over the falls. Jeff, are you crazy? Brie, I'm not falling for you. Cobber, I think you are. Jasper, he's right. There's no other choice. Jasper jumps into the roaring channel of water behind the rocks. He hollers as it rushes him along the smooth stones and throws him over the ledge. Gary and Jeff follow. Cobber jumps in front of Brie, takes 4 small arrows in his shoulder. He grimaces. Cobber, go! Brie, I'll go when I'm damn good, and Cobber pushes Brie gently but firmly into the channel. She is whisked away over the falls. 2 dozen Menehune jump to the rocks and tackle Cobber. He falls halfway in the water. The Menehune hold him by the arms in the air. The water splashes over him, chokes him as they frantically beat a pixie-covered arm over his head to dislodge himself. 6 pixies are dug into the rocks with their tiny feet, straining to hold the 2 pixies that grasp Cobber's hair with both hands. Cobber's hand smashes into one of the pixies that grips his hair. The pixie flies over the rock, dragging the holders with him. The remaining pixies can't hold the string. They let go. Cobber slides along the channel, carried by the furious water to the falls. He reaches the edge, cascades over into rolling foam, and sails out over the lake, screaming, "Shad!" Cobber plunges into the water, knocking loose the few pixies still holding on. He swims to the surface. Jasper and Jeff are downstream on the shore, poking spears at half dozen wet pixies. Brie climbs out of the water. Gary struggles to stay afloat a few feet from Cobber. Cobber grabs him and pulls him ashore. Brie watches, impressed. The group meets by the river as Jasper skewers the last of the pixies. Jasper points into the woods. Jasper, this way. Cobber, no, we'll follow the river down. Jasper, that's twice as long. Cobber, but they don't like the water. Gary, I'm not a huge fan either. Cobber, it gives us some protection. They can ambush us too easily in the forest. Brie, I'm not being caught again. They painted me. Cobber, looks hot. Jasper, Jeff and Gary, not. Jasper, then let's go. Cobber leads the way along the banks of the river, follows it downstream. Brie follows, then Gary and Jeff. Jasper brings up the rear, watches behind him. External camp day. It rains hard under dark skies. The camp is devastated. Tents are ripped to pieces, hang from trees and bushes. The fire is out, the wood scattered on the beach. A piece of tent with a close-up of a woman's painted lips hangs in a tree. The wind blows another piece of tent with a condom picture back and forth across the lips. The production tent is gone, no sign of the outhouse, generator, or any of the support equipment. In its place, a makeshift tent of plastic, sticks, and scraps. Alan sits on his hand in front of the tent, a spear in one hand, camera wrapped in plastic in the other. Rain splashes off his wide brim hat. Racine crawls out from the crude tent, sits beside Alan. Racine, we're gonna need to build an ark if this rain don't stop. Alan keeps the critters away. Racine glances at the bite marks on her arm. Racine, they'll be back. They think I'm a Hershey boy. Alan laughs, gives her a look. Alan, you do look delicious. Racine hides a smile. Racine, you've been out in the rain too long, white boy. Movement in the woods. Alan and Racine stare. Cobber, Brie, Jasper, Jeff, and Gary emerge from the tree line. Stop as the red starts at the wrecked camp. Alan runs to meet them. Racine into tent. Brie is back. Courtney off screen. Oh, good. Somebody should tell Jasper so they quit searching. The group walks to the tent. Alan, the first wave was only a dozen, but when they came back, there were hundreds. Brie, they can't be the same ones that captured me. Cobber, so there may be thousands. How did you beat them back, Alan? We didn't. The rain did. Racine, not before I kicked me a dozen little booty balls. Jeff, booty balls? I'm off rescuing a white princess and missing out on booty balls. Racine, it's like furry soccer. Alan, except they scream. Cobber surveys the wreckage. Cobber, they take anything when they trash the place? Alan, they didn't wreck it. That was Brad and Nancy. As soon as you left, they called crew in from the ship, dismantled the camp, and split. Racine, I got it, come back, bitch. Cobber gazes out on the water. Alan, it's gone. They're gone. I hid what I could. Racine notices Gary for the first time. Racine, but Gary's not dead. Jeff, I ain't Gary. He certainly isn't. Gary, long story. Jasper was dead or asleep, got eaten, reborn, or woke up and living on cooked pixies. That's the short version. Gary, except the cooking part. Courtney, checking out Gary. You should sell your diet plan. Cobber, I'm starving. Internal ruined tent day. It rains slightly, but still falls through the many holes. The group sits from it to a pile of various foodstuffs in the middle of the floor. Cobber, 3 oranges. Brie, mutilated. No, she don't talk like that. Brie, mutilated. Glances are exchanged. Alan checks off items on a list. Cobber, 4 sticks of jerky. Jasper, not fully cured. Cobber, thanks, Jasper. 1 large can of pork and beans. Courtney, I don't know how to open them. Cobber, half a bag of marshmallows. Jeff, more like hard candy now. A buzzing. Alan takes a satellite phone from his pocket, looks, punches a button, and smiles. Cobber notices. Cobber, 7 candy bars, a Slim Jim, half a dozen mangoes, and, pizza? Courtney, it was frozen when I packed it. Exterior camp night. The rain has stopped. A dozen torches in the forest light pixie camps. The sounds of 100 tiny... But I want to start that over. The rain has stopped. A dozen torches in the forest light pixie camps. The sounds of 100 tiny drums being beat rhythmically. Cobber and Alan sit guard outside the tent, a lantern lit between them. Alan, think this light is a good idea? Cobber, they won't come until morning. Alan, what makes you say that? Cobber, the hope that it's true. Beat. Alan, awesome job they did on Brie's makeup. Cobber, seriously, it's hot. Alan, it's perfect for my perfume campaign. Cobber, what happened to my lazy friend? Alan, heroes are born of necessity. External, high seas, day. Nancy stands on the bridge of the yacht, beside the captain who pilots the ship. Nancy, what do you mean, back? What orders? The captain ignores her. She storms off the bridge, passes Brad, who sits on a deck chair with an orange. And Nancy, what is it with you and oranges lately? External, camp, day. The rain is gone and the sun shines brightly. Huddled around the makeshift shelter, Cobber scans the woods and beach. Pixies everywhere, hundreds of them, forming a semicircle. Jasper, Gary, Alan, Courtney, and Racine hold sharpened spears at the ready. Brie stands beside Cobber, completing the group. Brie, I'm sorry things didn't work out like you planned. Cobber, they seldom do. Brie, thanks for coming after me. Cobber, some things are worth going after. Jasper points out across the water. Jasper, look! Rowing larger on the horizon, the yacht races across the water toward them. On the shore, the pixies closest to the group along with the woods. On the shore, the pixies closest to the group along the woods move forward steadily. The group moves backwards carefully toward the shore. The pixies continue to advance. On the yacht, the anchor is set as close to shore as possible. 2 small boats are let down from the sides. Nancy, Brad, and 2 armed men climb into the first boat. They start to shore, towing the second boat. On the shore, the group is surrounded by pixies, the water at the back up to the ankles. Jasper raises his spear. Hundreds of pixies raise theirs. Cobber, wait, don't be the first to strike. Jasper, they'll mob us. Cobber, if we strike, that's a certainty. The group stands nervously as the pixies close in. Only 15 feet of beach separate the group from the pixies. Dolores, very slowly at first, and in a cracked voice, sings. Dolores, singing. You will never break up if you use Baxter makeup. You will always look your best. The advancing pixies hesitate. Dolores singing a bit louder. You won't have to worry that your legs are furry or there is hair on your chest. The pixies stop, look at one another. Cobber stares at the pixies, then Dolores gets the clue. Alan starts filming. Cobber, yes, keep singing. Racine, is that what she's doing? Brie takes up a verse as Dolores falters. Brie, louder with confidence. Baxter needs no spotting, ensures your teeth aren't rotting, and keeps your pits so fresh. Cobber claps rhythmically. Gary joins in, taps his foot. Brie, we'll soak up all your tinkles and blot out all your wrinkles. We really are the best. Jasper starts tapping the dull side of his machete against the spear. The pixies start tapping their feet, breaking into dance. Racine, we confirm your boobies and make your cheeks like rubies and squeeze your tummy thin. The contestants and a half-dozen pixies keep beat on various crude instruments. 300 or more pixies dance in the sand. Dolores, we'll paint your lips so shiny, make sculpture from your hiney. With Baxter, you just win. Brie launches into the refrain and then starts the song over. Many squeaky pixies, it's a squeaky pixies. Join in. Brie, Baxter is the one for me. Baxter sets your beauty free. Try us once and you will see why Baxter is for me. Alan hands out promotional material to the nearest pixies who hold it up to look at. Alan films them. The boats hit the sand. Nancy, Brad, and the 2 armed men step onto the beach. The singing and dancing stops. Everyone stares at the new arrivals. The 2 men wave their weapons back and forth threateningly. The pixie leader, every bit of 12 inches, steps to the front of the mob. Nancy, what in the name of God? The group answers in unison. Group, Menehune. Cobber looks at the leader, meets his eyes, a moment of sudden terror as Cobber stands transfixed. The leader smiles at Cobber, speaks in a crackly, low, but understandable voice. Leader, gesturing at Nancy. Who are these party crashers? Nancy faints. Brad looks at her, follows suit. External, camp, night. 100 torches light the beach. Pixies and people sit in groups on sand, laughing, drinking, playing miniature instruments, and singing. A few drunken pixies dance with Courtney and Jasper. A large stone table has been constructed around the fire pit. A pig turns slowly on a spit. Several pixies work together to keep it turning. Cobber sits on a stone bench around the table, Brie next to him. On the other side, Alan, Racine, and Gary. On the edge of the table, the leader sits, munches on a piece of ham. Jasper and Courtney walk slowly to the leader and face him. Jasper hides something behind his back. He looks at the leader with great apprehension. Jasper, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what else to do. Jasper takes the spear from behind his back and holds it forth. 5 pixies are skewered on it. Everyone but the leader is horrified. Alan, pixie kebab. The leader grunts. Leader, no big deal. Pull him off. Jasper pulls each of the pixies off the spear. As he does, they spring to life and run into the crowd. Everyone stares. Leader, glancing shrewdly at Gary. Menehune are never gone unless you eat them. Gary hangs his head in shame. The leader smiles. Leader, even then, they simply become a part of you. Wonderful curative effects as well. The leader winks at Gary. Gary brightens. Jasper puts his arm around Courtney. Racine puts her arm around Alan. Jasper to leader. With your permission, my fiancé and I would like to stay here. The leader evaluates Courtney with great interest and approval. Jasper notices. Jasper, my fiancé. Leader, of course. It will be nice to have big people around again. You can teach us more of the new songs. Cobber pulls Jasper aside and whispers to him. Cobber, congratulations. You talked her into staying here? Jasper, she's not terribly bright. I like that in a woman. Jeff runs up, points at the yacht. It is moving away from shore quickly. Jeff, tell me my boat ain't leaving. No, Jeff is the gay guy. Jeff says, tell me your boat ain't leaving. 13. That low-down scum-sucking whore dog crack ass fake tongue chicken living bitch is leaving us again. Alan to Cobber, I think our dreams are close enough to snag. Cobber walks slowly to the shore, staring after the boat. He stands knee-deep in the water, unbelieving. Brie walks to him, takes his hand in hers. Cobber, I don't have a winner. Ran out of money, missed the season deadline, lost everything, and got us stuck here. He looks into Brie's eyes. Cobber, why don't I feel bad? Brie, because you learn to appreciate what you have. Cobber leans close to her. Their lips touch. Cobber pulls back. Brie sighs. Cobber, Sato, appreciate what I have. Of course. Cobber is excited. He looks deep into Brie's confused eyes. Cobber, I think I love you. Be right back. Cobber runs to Alan. Cobber, you still have the satellite phone. Exterior, high seas, day. Cobber stands at the bow of the ship. On one side, Brie. On the other, Alan and Racine. Alan, so tell us already. How did you get Nancy to turn around? Cobber, I didn't. I'm pretty sure she would have left us there. Cobber revels in the attention. Cobber, but she must have forgotten that I was still technically the CEO of Baxter Industries. I only made one decision, to hire Alan. Alan, you said was CEO. Cobber, I resigned. You're the new CEO. Seems your Jungle Woman campaign and your other decisions are making the company a ton of money. Nancy only owns 30%. After talking to the major shareholders, I got 62% of the vote for a reorganization. Brie, you're a genius. Cobber, I'd argue if I could. Alan, what about the show? Cobber, paying all the contestants $500,000. The show turned out to be like the guitar. Cobber puts his arm around Brie. Cobber, but I enjoyed the experience. Alan, well, Brie is Jungle Woman, so if you two are up for more exotic travel, I'll be pushing this campaign all over the world. Cobber and Brie gaze into each other's eyes. Brie, we'll think about it. Cobber takes Brie in his arms and kisses her, slowly, gently, then deeply, passionately. Racine blushes, punches Alan in the arm. Why don't you kiss me like that, fool? Cobber and Brie walk toward the cabin. Cobber speaks softly in her ear. Cobber, I think it's time I showed you my secret. Fade to black. Thanks for listening.